Trigger warning. Please be advised that Locked and Loaded Diaries talks about themes of suicide, homicide, sexual assault, and other wrongful deaths. I'm willing to bet that you think most military deaths happen in the combat zone. Think again. Nearly 3/4 of all active duty U.S. military deaths between 2006 and 2020 occurred not in the war theater of Iraq or Syria or Afghanistan, but in places of no conflict. And of that 74%, 93% of deaths happened here on U.S. soil. My name is Kimberly Walker, and I'm an Army combat veteran. These statistics sent me on a goose chase about what was happening in the military and how did these soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines actually die? What did the military know about these deaths, and what were they telling these Gold Star families? Well, I went straight to the source. They have done all the legwork. Please join me and my battle buddies and Gold Star mothers, Terry Caserta and Heather Hedge Baker, where on every episode we will talk to a Gold Star family member and find out what happened to their service member versus what the military told them, and the justice that they've never received. Are you ready? Well, we are. Welcome to Locked and Loaded Diaries. Good evening, Locked and Loaded Diaries. This is Kimberly Walker with my co-host Terry Caserta and Heather Hedge Baker. And tonight our special guest is Sara Cox, and she is the son of PFC Tyler Cox, who was killed in a training accident April 29th, 2020 at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. I met Sara at the funeral of one of our previous guests, Tanya, the mother of Mason Weber. It was at Mason Weber's funeral that Tanya introduced me to Sara, and she told me what happened to Tyler. And Sara, from what I can recall, that he was at a weapons range and he was shot in the head.
Yeah.
Do I have that right? Okay. So, and there's very few articles out there on the internet about Tyler. He was only 19 years old, first duty station, graduated early from high school to enlist in the military. And, you know, the Marine, just the level of, deaths that happen in the Marines is mind-blowing. I mean, I'm sure everybody is realizing right now, you know, we just lost 5 Marines in an aircraft accident, and this is the second one this year with I believe 4 Marines dying in Norway in an aircraft accident as well. Non-combat deaths, as you guys know, are the majority of deaths that the type of deaths that happen in the military. And Sara's going to tell us about what she was told that happened to Tyler. And then, of course, what happened after that, because I did some, you know, follow-up today to try to find out, you know, and then that's the norm. It's always like pending investigation, and then you don't ever hear about it again. You know, there's no more articles, there's no more follow-ups. It's rare. So Sara's going to fill us in on what happened, or what she was told what happened to her son, and then the subsequent
story that followed, and her dealings with the U.S. Marine Corps. So
Okay.
Sarah, the floor is yours.
Okay, so when we were notified of Tyler's death, we were told that he sustained a life-threatening or a life-ending injury, and that he was shot in, it was a training accident. At first, the commander actually called us like 2 or 3 days after Tyler had passed away and said that he had been shot in the back of the head by another Marine. And then a few weeks later, they came out with an autopsy report stating that he was not shot in the back of the head. He was shot in the front of the head, in the forehead. And they basically made the commander retract his statement, what he told us. And then a couple weeks later, it wasn't an accident. Tyler committed suicide. And from the moment they said that, I did not believe that, because Tyler, that was not Tyler. He was the one in boot camp and encouraging everybody and, you know, telling them, come on, we got this, guys, we can do this. I mean, I even have a letter from the commander saying that he was the guy that held everybody else up. That was not Tyler. I mean, we had talked to him 3 days before, and he was in good spirits. He was not upset, down, distraught by about anything. I mean, he was just regular old Tyler. And it was actually 3 days before his older brother's birthday. So I was just like, I mean, I don't know. We had talked about him coming home and future plans. And I mean, it just seemed so odd. And I started talking to the NCIS investigator, and even he said, this doesn't make any sense. Most people, that commit suicide, you can tell they're down, or they write a letter, or somebody knows something that they're hurting, and Tyler was upbeat, and that, I mean, it really shocked me when that's what they tried to say happened. But and NCIS apparently did interviews with anybody and everybody that ever knew the kid, and everybody said the same thing. That's not Tyler. That's not, he wasn't that person. And so I just, I really have a hard time believing it. I don't know. I told the NCIS agent that, I feel like the Marine Corps was hiding something or covering something.
Have you gotten the reports back, like the NCIS?
We have not. We've got the command's report back. I did not open it yet because I don't know. It's one of those things I have to be ready to deal with it. But we did give it to a friend of ours that used to be in the military, and he said there are so many inconsistencies and questions, and things that don't make sense. And he would know, he was in the military, you know, so I trust what he says.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, the more, you know, and the NCIS agent kind of got upset, you know, that I was kind of implying that, you know, he wasn't doing his job correctly. And I said, no, that's not it. What I'm saying is that there were at least a couple hours before NCIS got there. So the people in charge on the base could have, you know, come up with whatever story they wanted to tell. And I mean, that's how I feel. I don't have any proof on that, but that's how I feel. When I asked, you know, how exactly this happened, he said that they were doing some shooting training thing where they were all laying down in a circle. And I just thought to myself, we're laying down, pointing guns at each other, and they had live rounds. And I mean, I like, why are we laying in a circle, pointing guns at each other? Someone else that I've talked to that used to be in the Marine Corps said, "Oh yeah, we used to do that. Was a bail or some kind of target in the middle, and they're like shooting at it." And I said, so still, we're shooting at each other. I mean, what happens if a bullet goes through this target or around this target? Or they kept on insisting that they were at a stage where nobody was supposed to be firing. But I don't know. I mean, still, the whole idea of laying in a circle and shooting at a target in the middle, it just, I don't know, it doesn't seem safe.
So let me ask you, this person who told you that they have done that, is he referring to the circle itself, or is he referring to like when you go to a gun range and everybody is behind this line and then you've got the targets way out there? That's completely different than being in a circle pointing live ammo at other soldiers or other Marines. Is that what he meant?
From what I understand, they were in a circle, like their bodies were in like a clock circular
I'm picturing it, but the person that you spoke to about this live ammo pointing guns at each other, and he said, oh, we've done that too. Is he talking in a circle like Tyler was in? Because
I believe so. I mean, from what I gather, from what I've been told, it sounds exactly like what he described to me that they used to do when he was in training.
And the target is
there's a target in the center. I don't know if it's a barrel or what. I mean, it just sounds absolutely ludicrous. But
where do they think the bullet's gonna go?
It doesn't even make sense. I'm sorry.
Miraculously, just because they're not in combat, it's a live round.
Yeah,
and don't they know the first rule of gun safety? You know,
don't
every
point it at
gun is
others.
always loaded, and
yeah.
That.
And Sarah, please understand that we're not getting on you, and we know that you probably don't know the answer. We're just kind of asking these questions to figure out a reasonable answer to, if that makes any sense. That's why we're not ganging up on you, if that's what it feels like, because we're not. I mean, to me, this is what you just said is outrageous.
I know when I was told this, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like, I said, are you kidding me? And he's like, no, seriously, we used to do that. And we were told just to not tell anybody.
Wow.
And
So
And there you have it, folks.
it's probably not in the rifle marksmanship publication manual, you know,
No.
as a means of practicing riflemanship. Because the Army definitely didn't do that. I mean,
That's what they're covering up. They're covering up the fact that they were doing a
they were doing a training accident that they don't want the public to know about.
for what
And-
purpose?
but-
You know, if it has a reason or a purpose and that training for a specific reason,
Yeah.
but why? Why would you put everybody's life at risk?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
What's it for?
so the cause of death, suicide. He committed suicide in the firing circle. Is that what they're trying to say, or was this?
That's what they're trying to say. And when I
That makes
asked, and there was a Marine 10 to 15 feet to his left and 10 to 15 feet to his right. And mind you, there's, you know, a Marine straight across from him. They're in a circle. And I asked, so, you know, who saw him do this? I mean, you know, if you see a guy, you know, 10 feet away from you with his rifle to his head, you know, somebody's going to do something. I mean, somebody had to have seen something, heard, you know, and no,
But they're using a rifle?
Yeah. And that's what I
Long-barrel rifle.
said. How is that physically
Um,
possible? And my husband even got like a replica and tried to lay down in a prone position and stretch out and you know, put the rifle to his head, and he couldn't do it. And he's roughly the same size as Tyler.
Yeah, there's no way.
Well, you need long arms,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't even say that's friendly fire.
right? So, Sarah, did you get the autopsy report?
We actually got one like right after it happened, like from Dover, I think. And then I don't know, we've gotten 2 or 3 different autopsy reports, and one of them they sent us, and then they called and said, we're sending the autopsy report. And my husband Michael said, well, we already got it. And they were like, oh, well, you weren't supposed to see that one. Do you want the redacted version of it too? And Mike's like, well, you might as well send that one too. But yeah, and like the report that we got from the command, I mean, there's so many redactions in it. It's just ridiculous.
You can't even follow it. I was looking at Caleb's today because I'm trying to get a better timeline myself, and it's like so convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me anxiety to read it, not because it's my son and I have to go through the investigation, but it's so convoluted, so many pieces up in the air. You can't figure out where to even start or what makes sense. And when you don't have the names,
Yeah.
you have specialist this, specialist that, this
Mhm.
specialist, that specialist. How many specialists are there? How many different people am I talking to here in this interview? I mean, it's absolutely a slap in the face.
Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like I should have the right to have a conversation with the people that spent
Absolutely.
the last moments with my son.
Absolutely.
And the only thing that I can think of, you know, I don't know how to, you know, I don't know how to fight them. How can I, you know, because they, you know, can make me look like I'm, you know,
Well,
crazy.
have
And-
you started with your Congress yet? Have you spoken with your congressman or woman?
We've sent letters, you know,
You got to get them on the phone. You need to make
Yeah.
them your best friends, and they've got to get in there in the trenches with you and start, you know, asking questions. They need to know. And you know, it's not okay for them to ignore you either. So
That's exactly how I feel. I feel like they did what, you know, they were supposed to do, and they just swept us under the rug, like totally forgot about us. Like, and I keep, you know, would keep emailing the NCIS agent, and then I don't know, I must have pissed him off, and he decided he didn't want to talk to me anymore.
That's because
You
they
know,
closed the case. I want to know why you haven't received the NCIS report. It's been, well, if you're like I had to do, I had to FOIA my copy for my
Okay.
copy. I don't know if you've done that, but
Okay.
a Freedom of Information Act, I had to do
Oh.
that. Most people don't have to do that, but I had to in order to
Okay.
get it. It's been well over, well, 420, it's been 2 years for you. I don't understand why
Yeah.
you haven't received it. And the only thing I can think of is because you have not asked for it through a FOIA.
Okay.
Because that's good. That should tell you a lot. Of course, it's going to be redacted and you're not going to know names.
Mhm.
Do you have Tyler's phone or computer by any chance?
We actually just got it back the Friday before Memorial Day.
Okay, are you able to get on it?
No, because there's a lock. We're trying to figure out what his passcodes are.
Okay.
right.
Because here's why I asked. When Brandon died, the first thing my husband did, let me rephrase, like the next day after we were notified, since we paid for Brandon's phone and he's on our phone log, Patrick started calling all of the numbers that Brandon called several times a day. And these were people from his command. So if you can get into his phone, maybe he's got the people that he was with
Okay.
on his phone, and you can just call them up. And it'll
Okay.
be up to them whether they want to talk to you or not. But that's what my husband did. I thought that was very smart. Of course,
That's an excellent idea.
but if they put a gag order out, don't expect anybody to contact you.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I know one of his friends, and well, I guess a couple of them did contact me, and when I do start talking about Tyler and start, you know, I can tell that there's got to be a gag order because they instantly shut down and change the subject, and I don't know. All I can hope is that when they are done with the Marine Corps, that they maybe feel
Reach
like
out to you again.
yeah.
When was
Right,
the
'cause why would there be a gag order on a suicide?
I
Why would
know,
there be a gag order?
yeah.
Right.
I talked
It's
to somebody else
obvious. They
about
shouldn't
that.
have been doing that training.
Does the autopsies reflect a self-inflicted wound?
mine didn't, just to let you know.
It did say that he had like gun residue on his forehead, like it was a close, you know, contact. But I still don't know how he would lay there and stretch out. And
Okay, so where in his head was he penetrated?
it was
with that
supposed
bullet?
to have been like right in his forehead, like right there.
So he's laying down and he's holding the gun out like this, pointing
Yeah.
it at his head in front of all the other Marines.
Yeah.
So let me
That's
ask
what
you,
oh, go ahead, Terry.
I'm sorry, Kimberly. When Tyler came home, and I'm assuming you met him at the airport,
Mhm.
when he came home the last time, in his coffin, When, did you look at him before?
Yeah.
And did you see the wound itself?
No, they completely like put him back together. And I did, they completely put him back together. Like, um, I did notice like on like the back of his neck, like I could tell there were, I don't know, like cuts or whatever.
Okay, let me ask you something, and I'm only asking this because I have to tell you what we were told when we saw Brandon for the last time. Brandon had gauze around his head. Granted, part of his head was missing, but they said the reason the gauze was there was because of seepage that can happen in an aircraft. I'm sorry. Was there any gauze or bandages that you even saw? Because like I said, they did with Brandon, and that's what we were told is why his head was wrapped, because of the seepage. I'm just wondering if you noticed anything like that.
No, there was nothing. The only thing that we had questioned is they had a patch over his eye. I think it was the left eye. And when we questioned that, they said, oh, it's just because they couldn't get his eyelid to stay shut, that his eyelid kept popping open. And I thought that was I was like, okay, I don't
You seen the
understand.
autopsy photos? Have you seen?
No, I don't know.
Hey, let me tell you something. I would be honored if you would like for me to view them for you. It wouldn't bother me to do that for you. But
Okay.
I mean, I encourage you to have somebody view those to call BS
Yeah.
on any of it.
Yeah. And that's when we first, were notified of his death and we were signing papers and stuff. They asked us that and we said no, because we thinking about it, we didn't want to see him. But then I can't remember if I was talking to Tanya or Kim Haley, but she said, get them. And if you have to take them to the family physician or your attorney, or have somebody else look at them.
Yes.
And I think, we need to do that.
So you have them?
I believe we do.
Okay.
I believe we do.
If you
They
don't,
may be on Caleb's were on an encrypted CD, and I had to, I had somebody else, a friend of mine, just throw them onto my computer, and I put them on I guess a separate drive or whatever. So I didn't have to run into them all the time, but I have them to where they're safe and I can share them easily.
Okay.
So just let me know. I don't mind.
Okay.
I don't mind at all. I'm so sorry that you even have to question any of it, but it sounds so convoluted. And we really do need to find out what happened to your son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did
Hey,
the investigation? Oh, did the investigation say like there were witnesses that witnessed him shooting himself, and what the scenario was around that action?
No, when I asked, who saw him, I was like, what did they see? What did they hear? And 15, and nobody saw or heard anything. And I don't understand how that happens. How does somebody lay down on the ground and position themselves with a rifle and nobody sees anything?
And they're all in a circle doing,
Mhm.
everyone's doing the same thing, sort of.
To my understanding, they were all laying prone in the grass.
Okay, so they're prone. So they're on their belly,
Mm-hmm.
facing inward towards the target.
Yeah.
And they all have their rifles facing towards the target. And they're
To my
all in
knowledge,
a circle.
yeah, but when they made a point of saying that Tyler had his weapon loaded when he wasn't supposed to, like he hadn't been told to put ammunition in yet.
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 Okay. Well,
I don't know.
I still don't
think
see how
they-
that came from his gun. I mean, think about it. Like the amount of you know, that rifle is going to emit a blast. There's going to be burning around his, wherever he's shot. There's going to be, yeah. So I don't get it.
We got a call. I don't know. It was probably a week or two after he passed. They wanted to know how soon we wanted Tyler's body home. And when my husband kind of inquired why,
ASAP.
they said, well, we might have to have a closed casket because, and then they asked, oh, if we ship his body and then we find pieces of his skull afterwards, do you want those pieces back? And so we're imagining, like, you know, his head, like part of his head is missing, you know, and then when he came back, I mean, I don't know, he
Looked
didn't
normal.
look like, yeah, he didn't, the only thing out of place was the eye patch. And we later found out in the last autopsy report we got that he had some kind of abrasion like over his eyebrow. And then I started thinking that he was hit or some, you know, like somebody came up and hit him. And you know, like, I'm just like, okay, so
Girl.
this isn't, you know, making sense.
So do you know what type of rifle it was?
Oh my gosh. I did. Sorry.
Nope, that's okay.
I did, but I can't say for certain.
Was it an AR-15?
That's okay. Just
I don't.
It was most likely an M16 or an M4, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
Ring a bell?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kimberly. I'm gonna look to see how long they are. I mean, not now, but when we're done here.
M4 is a little shorter. An M4 is a lot shorter than an M16. So it's possible, but still, just because we know Tyler and Tyler's not going to do that to himself. It sounds like whoever was directly across from him shot their weapon.
That's a question.
And they're covering up for another Marine.
Yeah.
Or
And
they're covering up for the team.
Yeah. That's what I instantly thought from the beginning. And the fact that his commander called and said that he was shot by another Marine, you know, and I mean, that's what I feel. I just.
And now he's retracting it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Being made to retract that. But then
what happened
what's
to
all
that
this
guy?
about? Why is this?
Yeah.
What's going on with his eye?
Yeah.
See, the autopsy photos are going to speak volumes to you.
Okay.
And and you're gonna say no, but do you have a drawing of where everybody was?
No.
And anybody.
Like a crime
draw.
scene fucking drawing.
Exactly.
That
Kimberly,
would be
thank
in
you.
the NCIS report, probably, right?
Well, it should be in, honestly, it should be in the command report. It should
Okay.
be. I mean, the command was in charge of this. They
Okay.
should have it drawn, but I know they don't. I know they don't because I don't have one. The Marines are under the Navy. Trust me. I know it's not there. Plus, you would know because whoever read the report for you should have said, oh, here's, there was a drawing in here and here's
That's
where Tyler was, and they're not going to name anybody. I mean, it'd be redacted, but at least you'd have an idea of what it looked like. Because right now you can only imagine it in your head.
Imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
It sounds like they were training in an unsafe manner and somebody got killed and now they're covering up for the whole, because everybody's involved, down to the Marine who shot him, to the squad and team leaders,
Because
all the leaders
leadership
that were there.
needs to be held
Canadians.
responsible for this.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We found out that the commander got moved somewhere else and the sergeant got moved somewhere else. And I said, well, if it was a suicide, why are these officers getting moved other places? And that's what they do. I've heard of that so many times when, somebody dies under suspicious circumstances, they just move the higher ranking officers somewhere else.
Non-judicial punishment is issued
For loss of
If there is-
confidence. For
Yeah.
loss of confidence. And then they don't move commanders like in the George Washington ship. They've lost 10 people in less than 8 months, and he's still a commander on that ship. So I'm sorry, there's a double standard if you ask me. So, yeah, I'm sorry you have to go through this. This is horrible. This is horrible.
Do you
Go ahead,
go
Kimberly.
ahead, Terry? Oh, I was going to ask you guys if you have any advice as far as like what she should be requesting
Yes.
from a FOIA, like individual reports.
Besides that, yes, you need to, even though you have the autopsy report, I would request those again because you never know. It's been 2 years now. And whenever, this is what I've learned, whenever you FOIA something, you ask for something, it goes through the command. The command okays it and the command redacts it. So here's what I would ask for. Obviously your NCIS report. I would also ask for the command report again. It could be different. You don't know.
Okay.
I would ask for Tyler's entire medical file from when he entered to, I would go maybe 2 months after his death, because you'll have to request the dates. I would request his whole, they call it a jacket, military jacket, meaning his service record. And again, you'll have to you'll have to list the dates from when he started, actually from when he signed all the paperwork to join to 6 months after.
Okay.
I would also, and this is what I did, I would also request all of any correspondence, notes, Post-it notes, emails between everybody and anybody within that command and within Millington. Millington is, I'm going to say, the home office, the headquarters of the Navy, which the Marines are under. And I would do that from probably 6 months before his death, and I would put it a year after his death, because you do not want to skip any dates in there.
Okay.
Also, when you request these through FOIA, request them individually. Do not put them all on one request because they will only give you the first one you ask. The other 20 items that you're asking for, that you will never get.
Okay.
So if you do it individually, you'll be able to follow it, each one of them through the FOIA system.
And they each will have a contact number
Yep.
that you can give to your Congress when you speak to whoever assistant they assign you with, and you can let them know, here's the number that goes with that FOIA. I haven't received it back yet, or whatever. It's been like, for me, it's been 1.5 years since I requested mine. Still haven't gotten it back yet. But we have those numbers that you can, give, and they can reference the FOIA that way.
And you
Okay.
can also go through the DoD FOIA system. Heather, you might want to do that for yours too, since you haven't received it. Just go through DoD FOIA system and request them again. Just to see what comes back from them.
Yeah, I'm listening to you, girl. I'm clicking away everything off the list. I'm thinking, all right, it's time to do another one. I'm learning a lot here.
Well, again, that's just what I did. So after Tyler's death, Sara, did the command or NCIS do anything to you as a Gold Star mother, or anyone else in your family? Did they disrespect you? Anything after his death, or were they pretty cooperative? I'm just curious.
They never did anything disrespectful, but I don't know. I felt like I was like pulling teeth to try to get anything out of them.
That's normal.
Did you
And
feel
I didn't-
bamboozled?
Yeah, and I felt like I didn't know who to talk to, and I don't know what I know from talking to Tanya and like talking about her CAC officer, like the officer that we talked to, that informed us of Tyler's death, that's in our local area. Like he got moved somewhere else, and so I felt like I didn't have anybody to talk to, anybody to ask questions.
They
I
didn't
didn't know what to
replace
do.
your CAC officer?
That's what I was
He
just
got
going to ask.
moved?
No,
What?
he moved. No, we didn't get a replacement. He moved. He took another a training assignment.
No, that CAC
somewhere else.
officer should never be moved in an assignment. That assignment should take precedence over anything and everything that he has going on. That's what my casualty assistance officer told me.
So
Is it?
I was a casualty assistance officer in the Army. That's your fucking primary mission, and you don't leave it until it's complete.
Exactly.
You're not replaced. You go to a new unit. You have to complete the mission.
That's disrespectful.
when did he move?
I don't know. It was probably,
I mean, from the time that he
I
came.
would say 2 months. 2 months after.
What?
2 months after Tyler's funeral.
Okay.
I mean, that's how I felt. I felt like they wanted to get him in the ground as fast as possible. And in fact, one of Tyler's friends, that was, I think he was in his unit. I'm not sure, but he said, yeah, they wanted to get him in the ground as fast as possible. And I mean, I don't know. It was odd how they were calling us, asking us if we wanted the pieces of his skull off of the field. And then the next thing I know, they're flying him back, and the next day, we buried him. And like at the viewing, we could, I mean, I don't know, but we couldn't touch him. We couldn't.
Well, they
touch him
said
at
that
all.
you couldn't. They said you
Who
couldn't.
said that?
Yeah. Well, they had they had two officers there, and I felt like if we touched him, that we would have, you know, been tackled.
They're intimidating. They
Yeah.
intimidate you.
So who escorted him home?
There was like I think it was the new sergeant that they had assigned, and along with one of Tyler's friends. And we actually specially requested him to come back. He couldn't because he wasn't, you know, high enough ranking to come by himself. So they sent him with the new sergeant.
And who
Was
told you
all
you
the-
couldn't touch him?
The woman at the funeral home told us that they weren't even allowing her to touch him.
Well, how is she supposed to do her job if she can't touch him?
That's I know, I kind of looked at her like, aren't you know, you're the funeral director, and I don't know. She said that they wouldn't let
A
her
weakling.
touch him, and I don't know. We
Well, you didn't know.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
They start from day one to bamboozle you and to try to keep you from looking. Hey, listen, we've heard this before from Shanta Marie Block. Think about what happened with Kamisha. Here's Shanta and her mom standing at the casket. Her mom's like, I'm gonna open that casket. And let me tell you, they opened that casket, and what they found was a putty patch right here in the temple and a fake bun of hair glued on top of her head. Now, I have a picture of Kamisha in my kitchen, and that girl has some short hair all the way to here.
Oh,
And they glued a fake bun on her head.
Yeah, they
because
did that
were
to-
lying about the day she died.
If
They
the
didn't want
family
you
hadn't
to-
opened up the casket, they would have never known that she was murdered, because they sent her home as a friendly fire, one shot to the chest. And every time they reopened the investigation, she had another shot to the chest. They found another bullet every time.
She had been
Yeah.
shot 4
That's
times.
true.
Yeah.
They were obviously trying to hide something from you, Sarah. They didn't
Yes.
want you
Yes.
poking around his body, finding more evidence.
And I've had people suggest that we exhume him and have, you know, I know my husband will not, you know.
Just look at the autopsy photos. The autopsy photos will speak volumes. Have somebody that you trust, either hire a private investigator or, you know, have somebody like me, you know, help you to sit with you and read all that and call BS on it. That's
Heather,
the
didn't
only way.
you have your family physician look at the autopsy, Heather?
I did not have him look at the autopsy, no.
Oh,
But my
doctor.
my attorney Daniel Maharaj has had several experts look at Caleb's, you know, autopsy. So, and all, you know, all the investigation and the findings and all of that. I did have Caleb's physician. You know, I did kind of tell him what happened, but he didn't seem to really want to get involved.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
That fear of the military. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to take on the military.
He didn't want to get involved. Is that, well, I guess it's just me then.
Yeah.
It's the crazy one. This is gonna dip my toe into this mess.
So Sarah, the only contact you had with Tyler's command was that day that the commander called you?
Yep.
Were you invited to a memorial for him?
At
Did
the
they
command?
have one?
No memorial.
Well, I mean, we had our, you know, memorial or
But usually
funeral services,
unit.
but
The
At the
unit has a
command.
memorial. Yeah,
no, we never do anything about that.
it's because your CAC officer fell off the face of the earth. And you didn't
Well-
have anybody to tell you what's going on.
That would have been that week. They would have held that week. So she would have had her casualty assistant officer would have been. And he or she would have been the one to make arrangements. You didn't even hear
Right.
about them, the command holding one?
No.
You should ask his friends if they had
They
one.
had one.
Okay. Yeah.
I would, yes, I would. I know, in my case, they did have, Brandon's command did have one. We just were not invited.
They weren't allowed to come onto the base.
Yeah, we were banned from the base, and my husband's 22-year retired and he's
Oh.
never banned, but, they should have held one for him. He was at that command for how long?
It wasn't, I mean, it wasn't very long.
Doesn't matter.
Caleb was there for 7 weeks and 4 days.
And they held one.
I would ask about
I
that.
would ask.
I'm glad we
That's a
had
very
this
good question.
conversation because see,
Yeah.
you don't know what you are missing.
Yeah.
I think that you got done wrong in a lot of different ways. I mean, this is I'm sorry to use this word, guys. It's a total clusterfuck, guys.
Oh, yeah.
This is
for sure.
a total mess. It's
Go ahead.
unfathomable.
It is. Did you get his belongings by any chance?
Good question, Terry.
Did you get his personal belongings?
Yes, we did.
How
Oh,
did
it's-
how did they arrive to you?
His CAC officer brought them in boxes. And then we noticed that his phone and his laptop weren't there. And they said, well, they're still part of the investigation. And I don't, he had stuff that he may have had stuff that we didn't know. And I don't know, we didn't get back. I don't know that. But we got, I don't know, like 8 boxes back.
And I'm sorry, they were shipped to your casualty assistant officer?
Yeah, and he brought them in a van from Des Moines to our house.
Is that where Tyler was, Des Moines?
No, that's where the CAC officer was stationed.
Closest base to you.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and where are you? Just give me the state.
We're in Iowa. We're about 2 hours from Des Moines.
Huh, I grew up in Iowa. So, okay, what? Okay, sorry.
I think
Why were they shipped to your casualty assistant officer?
I have no idea.
Heather, did you get yours? By you?
well, that was a mess. Had to beg and plead for them publicly.
Yeah, I did too.
On 3 Corps, for them to bring them to me, to allow my CAC officer to bring them to me.
Okay, so yours was shipped to him too?
They were shipped to somewhere. They had all of his belongings in some warehouse somewhere around in Lubbock somewhere. But my casualty assistance officer had to come down and inventory them with me.
Yeah, mine did too. Mine did that. Ours came in a moving van.
Yeah.
Maybe because Brandon had a lot of stuff. I don't know, but our casualty assistant officer offered to help us go through it too, and it was a mess. It took us 6 months to get Brandon's stuff back, and it was Brandon was a suicide. And
Yeah.
Sarah, just to let you know, we had to sign that same paperwork whether we wanted Brandon's pieces or not. Isn't
Mhm.
that tough? It's tough.
Oh my God.
But anyway,
Sarah.
I was just shocked
I love
that they
you.
didn't
I'm sorry.
come to you, I guess. And maybe, I mean, 8 boxes is a lot for a casualty assistant officer to bring to you a 2-hour trip.
Mm-hmm.
But, and of course, he probably had a sea bag too, right?
Yeah, I believe, yeah. I mean, there was so much stuff, but military stuff, we didn't know, what it was, or we just kind of, I don't know, we kind of just like, I don't know, we were in a haze,
Yeah,
just
of course.
just rifling through his stuff. And I will tell you one horrifying thing. We got a UPS box, and I ripped it open, and it had Tyler's clothes in it, and I just yanked the shirt out and just wanted to smell it. And then my husband and I are pulling the rest of the stuff out, and it was one shirt, one pair of pants, one pair of boots, one belt. And then we realized that that is what he died in. And I was just mortified.
Oh my God.
I just wanted to get the smell of him one more time.
Yes.
That happened to us too. Of course, we didn't get his shirt because they wouldn't, thank God they didn't send that, but there was blood on everything. It's horrifying, and they don't even let you know what's coming. They just send it to you just like out of the blue.
Yeah.
A big dirty pile of laundry is what I got. And it was crazy, to see socks and shoes, pants, underwear, all these things turned out, they just ripped them off their body and thrown it. Caleb was found naked on the floor with a blanket halfway over him. And there was things that never came home that I know that he went over there with, I mean, there were things like he had a broken PlayStation that came back. It was brand new. He had just gotten there. He didn't leave Lubbock with a PlayStation. He bought that when he got over there, and it came back busted up. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
Where everything's
Did
wrapped
that-
so nicely, and then that's the one thing that's broken. Because it has information on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, so let's kind of go over this again. You were told 3 different things that happened to Tyler. 3 different autopsies. Well, you had the commander call you and say he was shot in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had an autopsy that said that he was shot in the forehead.
Yeah.
And then you were told Tyler committed suicide.
Yeah.
And he was using, we're guessing on this part, an M16 or an M4
Yeah.
rifle.
Yeah.
They held no memorial service for Tyler, to your knowledge. And you
Didn't invite you to it.
Right. Well, obviously, because she didn't
Took away
know.
her TAC officer 2 months after he passed away. I think that was highly strategic
Well, here's
on their part.
2 months. Yes, that is a little soon, but remember, and Kimberly, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I was told. Your casualty assistant officer is only there to do exactly what he did for Sara. They notify you. They do the paperwork for you or with you. They bring the household goods to you, or they go through it with you. That's it. By the time you get those boxes, the investigation is done. They are just putting it together and redacting it before they give it to you, and it takes about a year. So Kimberly, am I on the right track on that? That is what we were told.
About a year?
To get the report. No, to get the report. Now, the casualty assistant officer is done when the family receives the household goods. They're done.
No.
Yeah,
Incorrect.
once the paperwork is done, all the benefits, the household goods, all of that stuff, then the CAC officer is released from duties.
Correct.
Oh,
Did they-
but that wasn't how it was in my case.
No, and
In
it
my-
wasn't in ours.
In
It wasn't
my
in ours.
case, Caleb, his CAC officer stayed with us until we even got the CID investigation, until all the investigations were given to me, and until the command came, they flew to Lubbock and they did a final review with me.
See, I never got that, and I'm
surprised.
sure Sara never got that either.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
So,
So that's not me. Why
but see,
am I doing that and y'all aren't?
you and me, Heather, have good casualty assistant officers. Now, it's not that Sara didn't, it's because he was probably at the end of his tour and needed to move on. And since her stuff was over with, they didn't assign her another one because hers was done. So there's no need to assign her one. Does that make sense? That is why hers
Yeah.
left after 2 months.
So the
It might-
investigation was complete after 2 months. Just 2 months and they were done. The investigation closed.
Correct.
Is that Sara?
Yeah.
That's awfully quick.
I think that's
it
quick
is.
too. Mhm.
It is.
For you to get all that back in 2 months and that CAC officer to be gone like that. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. That's ridiculous.
And see, ours is still on call with us. When I say that, if we need him, he'll be there because he knows there's foul play in Brandon's case. So
And
Mine
that's
as well.
one thing that our CAC officer did say to us too, is that because when he came, he told us, he said, this is out of all of the notifications that I've had to do, this is the first one that is not a suicide. I mean, he was, adamant that it was not a suicide, because Mike even asked him and he said, no, it's not. And as the investigation went on and the weeks went on, when he brought Tyler's stuff to us, he made it clear to Mike that it wasn't sitting well with him how things had turned out, and that he didn't feel right about how the story was going.
Classifying murders as suicides.
do you know how to get a hold of him? Your casualty assistant officer?
I have an email address for him. I'm sure.
Yeah, I would touch base with him.
I would too. I would too. And the reason is because you have not received the NCIS report and you want to know where it's at. Even though you're going to FOIA it doesn't hurt to ask him.
Okay.
It'd be your in to
Yeah.
contact him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
Is there
Unless-
anything else? I mean, this is a hard one.
No, not that, this is my biggest problem is I don't know what avenues to go down, what resources to use. And I just feel tiny, and I'm like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do.
Start with
Well,
FOIA.
I sent you the link. I sent you the link to our resource page on
Yeah,
the
I
website.
did get that message. Yep. And
Okay.
I will definitely do that.
And I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but you do, if you want to move forward with this and you want to know more, you're going to have to put on your boots, wrap them up tight.
Mhm.
And I know I've had to put a barrier around my heart. You need to get a cup of tea and some cookies and sit there. And with, it took me 10 hours with my friend Rashay, me and her mom and her boyfriend all sat in their living room, 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 4 o'clock in the morning. And we read and we took notes of Caleb's CID investigation. And we were just a team, and we were researching as we went and making comments. And
you need to
gotta do it.
You need to do that with the command investigation as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm having to go back and reread the CID investigation and all the other investigations as well. I find out new things every single time.
And plus now you have a clear head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have somebody look at those autopsy photos, because that's going to speak volumes as to what happened.
I need to do the same thing, so don't worry about it. You're not the only one who has to do it. I just can't. And I want to see the scene too, but
yeah.
And you
I'm more than
should.
happy to sit down with either one of you guys and do it. Not that I want to see gore, but it's just, if you have somebody that's willing to do it, that is outside the situation and doesn't mind viewing something like that. I've been in a gross anatomy lab where I've drawn dead bodies before. I'm an artist. So as morbid as that sounds, I don't know. To me, it would just be an honor to sit down with anybody and help them out to figure out a situation like that. There's not very many people you'll find that wants to do that,
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to say this. If anybody from Tyler's command wants to come forward and you don't want to go to Sara, please come to Locked and Loaded Diaries. We will talk to you. We will help you. I know you guys are grieving as well.
Help you process this.
Exactly. Any answers that you could give, that would be amazing. But if anybody from Tyler's command wants to come forward, please contact us. We will help you, and we can get you in contact with Sara if you want to.
Oh my goodness, your beautiful son. Look at him.
He's got such a cool mom too.
Yes, absolutely.
How's your husband dealing with all this?
I don't know. He's very quiet, keeps to himself about it. Yeah, I wear my grief on my sleeve. Everybody knows exactly how I feel, and I put his picture on the back of my truck, so everywhere I go, everybody sees his face.
He is absolutely beautiful.
He is.
He is.
And I'm sure he didn't mind dying valiantly on the battlefield or coming home, preferably, right?
Yeah.
In one piece. But I mean, that's what they sign up to do if need be. But nobody expects, I was thinking about this today. I was telling somebody about this today. I never would have imagined in a million years that my son would die on a base here in the United States, on the same territory he swore to defend.
Yep.
Never in a million years. But you know what? We have, I want to tell you just really quick about the Hall of Justice. This is a bit of legislation that I would love to have everybody support. Sarah, I'm with a group of moms, Terry and I are called the Mothers of the Fallen. And we're a group of moms who have had our service members die in these non-combat instances where there is military injustice involved. And so this is my invitation to you. Please join us. We would love to have you join us. I'll give you more information about that in a little bit.
Okay.
But I have a bit of legislation I would like to share. This is a bill that's written by private investigator Manuel Gomez. But this is an independent agency. I'm just going to really quickly read the mission statement so that everybody can get a gist for what this bill is all about. The Hall of Justice is an independent federal agency. It is not part of the military, federal courts, law enforcement agencies, district attorneys, nor the Department of Corrections. The Hall of Justice is empowered to receive complaints of corruption, investigate, make findings, conduct administrative trials, and enforce discipline on any position or rank within the military, federal law enforcement agencies, district attorneys' offices, the Department of Corrections, and the federal judges. Hall of Justice administrative trials will be conducted by judges who are not affiliated or influenced by the military, federal courts, nor state departments. Hall of Justice investigations will be conducted in an impartial fashion by an investigative staff, which is entirely composed of civilian employees and have security clearances. And I can see right here, right now, where the Hall of Justice could help you. You know, if we had an independent agency where you as the mother can say, hey, there's something going on here. Why we shouldn't have to look at our son's dead bodies in an autopsy. We shouldn't have to, you know, it's so, talk about traumatizing yourself over and over again. With this federal agency, it would hopefully help decrease the number of service members that we have dying at astronomical rates on our bases and here and abroad, because you know the command would not be investigating itself. We would be able to issue judicial punishments instead of non-judicial punishments. And so I just wanted to inform you and the public about this bill that's coming out. In Locked and Loaded, our community board, I've placed the link to the Hall of Justice petition. So if you guys don't mind going on to our community board and checking that out, of course you can find the bill if you just go to petitiontocongress.org and you just search Hall of Justice and you'll find our petition there. I think we have around 77 people who have signed it so far. If you pay extra $3, then they'll hand deliver it to your representatives. And so we've got to get a handle on this. We've got to come together collectively en masse to say, hey, this is what's happening across our land. You know, the lifeblood of our nation is being spilt on our own soil. And it has to stop, right, Kimberly?
Yeah, I
Enough is
mean,
enough.
I don't know what is going on. Why are we cutting corners? Why are we not holding leaders accountable for the safety? You know, the safety of a service member is the #1 priority of a leader. You know, of course they say mission first, but you can't accomplish the mission without the service member. their safety, their state of mind. I mean, everything to make sure that
Yes.
they're fed and that they're at formation at the same time, but to die at a range like that, where obviously they were doing things they weren't supposed to be doing, and the whole fucking command up until the fucking Corps covered up for it, and they got away with it. They
Yep.
got away with the death of PFC Tyler Cox. And
But that's
nobody
also
was
why
held
we have locked and loaded diaries to say, hey, we see all of this and we are going to hold you accountable and we're going to let everyone know what you have done.
You need to call your Congress people, Sarah. You need to get them on the phone.
Yes.
Yeah, no more emails. Just start ringing. You know, a squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I think that, you know, you need to demand that they support you. I mean, if that's what you want, is this something that you want to do? Is this something you want to invest in?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. And
Is
know
this a-
that
it's-
we're here. If you forget something that was said on this podcast, of course, you'll be able to access to listen to it again. Just reach out to one of us, especially Terry and Heather have already been through this. So they have a lot more resources than I do. I'm just kind of like the military subject matter expert, but I've never lost my child to the service and had to deal with the aftermath of what you guys are, which is like the highest level of disrespect that I've ever seen, to see a Gold Star mom just ignored. I mean, they should have been, you should have
Ignores us.
the command came to you, Sarah. They should have came to you and told you what happened. I don't understand where NCIS just steps in and everybody else gets relieved of all responsibility of explaining themselves.
Yeah.
It's so disrespectful. And then 2 months later, bye. Good luck out on your own grieving, you know. And then you said there's gaslighting where they're like trying to make you think that you're crazy, you know, because you're coming up with, you know, alternative scenarios of what you think happened. I mean, I think your gut instinct that commander first said is the right, that it's what really happened.
Yeah.
You know, because after that, it was just, then they had time to think about lies and alternative stories as the time went by. But I think that commander fucking knows what happened.
Hold leadership accountable.
Yeah.
Independent
whole-
investigations.
The whole company should have been held accountable. Whoever was on the range, who was the range NCO and the range officer that was conducting that range, what happened to them? That is their responsibility. There's training that happens, and there's people in charge of the range and that are accountable for everything that happens on a range. Somebody should have been held accountable for his. But it's easier to say it was a suicide.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
Lavina Johnson was tortured and raped and murdered, and they put it off as a suicide. You can get murdered in the military and it'll be labeled suicide. It's just the easiest, cleanest cut they can do.
Yep. Yep.
And they got fucking, there's nothing you can do about it.
They said Lavina Johnson shot herself in the head with a long gun. Of course, her tent was found burning.
4'11".
No.
She was 4'11", and she shot herself with an M16.
No.
You know, how tall was Tyler?
6'1".
Still, there should have been witnesses. There should have been so many, like in that investigation report, was there witness statements?
I'll have to go look through the command report again to see, because I mean, like I said, there were so many redactions. It's hard to even follow.
Yes, it is. Well, when you get the NCIS report, it should have all of that in there. the individual testimonies and stuff.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's another thing you should request at FOIA is the NCIS, their entire file, which would include notes and emails back and forth to the command and between themselves.
Okay.
And all these things have to be requested individually. Every report has to be an individual request.
Okay.
So it's a lot of work, and I don't know, Heather,
A lot of
does she
work.
get a lawyer? Does she get a lawyer?
There's nothing that, there's nothing an attorney can do, because the Fair's Doctrine blocks you. And right now, only the amendment that was made to that was only for medical malpractice through the Steichel Act. So no, there's nothing, and unless we can get the Hall of Justice passed, which would
Okay,
eliminate
outside of
need
that.
for the NCIS, the CID, and the OSI.
Who all work for the command. They don't work for
Exactly.
the soldier, they don't work for the Marine, they don't work for the sailor or the airman, they work for the command.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's why we need everyone to sign that petition. Everybody. Help us, come on.
Is there
Come on,
anything that you
America.
want to tell? Like we have how many, we have like 1,700 followers on
And we
YouTube and
love them
about
all. Yes.
550 on our podcasts. Is there anything that you want to tell the American people? Because they are shocked. They can't believe this shit's happening. And the American people don't know it's happening
Yeah.
unless it
I
happens.
didn't know it either until, it happened to us, and it opened my eyes to how many really young people are dying every day. And yeah, it's just mind blowing. And I feel like the suicide is their go-to, and it's just our government, our military is murdering their own people and getting away with it.
Mhm.
And
They're here to protect and uphold life. Liberty and justice for all, that whole bit.
mhm.
And they're,
Does that
Yeah.
exist? Does that still
Right.
exist?
does it even still exist anymore?
Sorry, I'm asking for a
I know.
friend.
There you go.
Fucking Congress needs to fucking do their job
Yep.
and start investigating the military and start doing something for these families, because these families are going to Congress and telling their stories, and Congress is just like, sorry for your loss, we'll look into this, and then they don't do anything.
Yep. They don't hold anybody accountable, and that's what we need. If we start holding people accountable, maybe things like this wouldn't fucking happen.
That's right, Terry. You tell them.
Gosh, how hard is it?
You have to make an example out of people so they know
Exactly.
if you're negligent in a service member's death, you will be punished. You will go to jail. You will lose your career. You will lose your benefits. And that's why they're covering everything up, because
Yep.
God forbid they lose their benefits or get kicked out of the military, because that's what it's all about. It's that goal. It's like get
And
the highest rank you can, retire on.
And
get
it
your
needs
benefits.
it needs to follow them into their civilian life when they are
Absolutely.
done with the military. It has to. It has to.
That's how civilians are treated. If this happens
Exactly.
in civilian organizations,
Yep.
people are going to
Look.
jail. People are losing jobs.
The people involved in this situation should not have legal
Right.
rights to hold arms, to
Yep.
bear arms
Yep.
anymore. I'm sorry. If you have a situation like this and you're being unsafe with a gun and that happens, you should not have a gun or the right or
I wanna know
ability
what
to
happened
have
to
or
that
get or
Marine
buy a gun.
What, Kimberly?
Like that Marine brain's got to be fucked up. What happened to him?
If he even knows. Does he even know he did it? I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
When you're in a circle like that, yet your son is the only one that has a loaded weapon.
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they made it seem like, you know, he was disobeying orders or whatever. And I said, whatever.
That's why you need his disciplinary act, like FOIA for his disciplinary, or his, what am I trying to say, Terry?
His military record, his
his
jacket, military jacket is what they call it. But his military service record.
It's so disgusting that they're blaming the fucking victim.
I was just going to say that. Yes. That's their go-to thing. I mean, come on. It's never their fault, for crying out loud.
Right.
That's why they're never held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
The character of the Marine that lost his life to negligence. Negligent homicide. Look at that kid. He was in drama in high school. He was an artist. He was in choir. He was a churchgoer. And they fucking killed him. He had everything to live for. He was 19 years old.
Covered
He
up
wasn't
his
in the
death.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about enlisting in the military or having your child enlist in the military, now this is not the norm, but I mean, 60 Marines have died in accidents in the last 5 years. That's one a month on US soil. We've got some serious incompetence going on in the military, and this is supposed to be our best and brightest. We're not training correctly. We're cutting corners. We're pencil whipping training. We're not holding people accountable for mistakes. You know, we're not paying attention to red flags. We're not demoting people when they fuck up. It's like
Just
fuck
shirking
up,
responsibility.
come on. We're supposed to be the best military in the world, and look what we're doing to ourselves.
Supposed to have a
And it's
backup
a
plan for your backup plan for your backup plan for your backup plan.
It's a secret that the American public does not know. They're not aware of. You're not connected to our military. American civilians don't have a connection to the military. It's kind of like in the background. We don't pay attention to them. We don't know what's going on with them. You know, they're fine. Everything's fine. We're the best. We're doing some rockin' training, but we're not talking about what's really happening. You know, these commandants are not talking about this shit on Twitter. They're talking about how great their units are, but they're not talking about this epidemic that is out of fucking control.
Sarah, are you aware of the statistics that came out about, I guess it was in 2020 when it came out, that 75% of our service members die non-combat deaths?
Wow.
And
No.
93% of those die on the same soil they swear to defend. 93%
Wow.
US soil. That means only 25% of our service members die in a combative situation. Now, it's all non-combat deaths because we're not in combative situations now. So
We are, but we're not like at major wars, but we're in Syria,
Yeah.
we're in Africa.
okay, yes.
But still, these numbers are fucking, and that's coming from Congress. Congress is sending out the statistics
That
these
is Congress.
deaths, such a
And
high
they
rate.
don't care. They don't care.
Don't care.
They're afraid of the Pentagon. They're all buddies with all those fucking generals up there. I mean, what's his name? Austin. and General Miley, what are those two doing up there? They're not talking about it. We're talking about freaking the Ukraine. Why aren't we talking about the war against our own service members? That is a hot fucking topic for them. That should be their number one mission, is how to stop this from happening.
How do they expect to defend our territory if our own people are going to be killing each other? And they're
Or
just
that
calling
we're
everybody
just-
AWOL.
Or just
You know,
like,
Caleb was
all right, if-
AWOL too, until they went and looked for him, finally. Of course, it took them, you know, an entire week before they went and looked for him, and he was just in his room. Smelling up the whole
Accidents are-
joint.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, he was decomposed to the fifth stage of decomposition. They didn't even go look for him. They waited until the afternoon of the day of the 21st, the day his body was discovered, after he'd missed formation, after he'd missed morning PT, he'd missed a doctor's appointment. You know, he missed working. He didn't even go to work that day.
somebody should have been at his room at 6 in the morning when he didn't show up at formation. They waited till what, after lunch?
Yeah, well, till about 2:30 in the afternoon.
That is unheard of. That's not how the military operates.
His roommates sticking notes on his door telling him to clean up the common area and spraying Febreze to cover up the smell of his dead body. Yeah, I hate the word Febreze, girl. It literally gives me PTSD when I hear that word Febreze.
Triggering.
It's very triggering for me. I can't handle it. And it's a common word that people hear.
Yeah.
But it's one that really messes me up.
I can understand that.
You're going to the store and seeing Febreze on the shelves is probably too much.
Or somebody just casually saying, spray some Febreze on it. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Just spray some fucking Febreze on it. Go ahead. So it just makes me feel nasty inside. Just get combative myself. Spray some fucking Febreze. Assholes.
Sara,
Oh my
is there
God.
anything you want to say to the community out there that is going to hear your story?
I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just, I don't know where do I begin? Because I feel like no matter what I have to say, they're going to shoot me down. I feel like I'm in a no-win battle.
Right.
You are in a no-win battle. And we're trying to change things for future service members, but the three of you will probably never get justice for the death of your sons.
The only thing, if I have to wait 20 years for one of those guys to retire, I gotta wait that long. Or I'm hoping that, somebody has a conscience that just can't take it anymore, and they need to realize that if something happens to them, that the military is going to put their mother through the same thing.
Yeah. If they can't, if this is how they're going to take care of our service members, well, this is how they're going to take care of yours.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's nothing special. I'm sorry. I know you love your people, but there is nothing different, nothing special to save them from a non-combat death. I would have never thought about it in a million years.
Yeah, I was in for 17 years and I was shocked. I didn't find out until 2 years after I retired when I first heard about Lavina Johnson, and then I just went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, girl.
Death after death after death.
It's
and then
horrible.
2020 happened. Yeah. Fort Hood and Fort Bragg blew up in 2020, and I'm like, this shit's still happening.
Yeah. They got nothing to brag about.
Yeah.
What base was it that your son passed away on, Sarah?
Camp Lejeune.
Camp Lejeune.
Which is a problem. It's not the only one. We know lots of parents that lost kids on Camp Lejeune. That's a problem too. It's fucking Marines, man. They're scary to me. They scare me. Okay, ladies. This was a good talk and learning experience, and I hope, Sarah, that this has helped you a little bit, and please reach out to us if you need guidance. We will hold your hand.
We love you, Sarah.
I love you guys too, and I don't know. It's sad that we have to meet this way, but I'm glad that we're meeting and sharing stories, and because I get strength that way. I mean, it's good to bond with people that know what you're going through. You understand it,
You're not alone.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it, is you find out you are not alone and you're not crazy. There's a lot of us out there. Well, we all may be crazy, but fighting with the fight that we have to, I guess we have to be a little crazy, but
Yeah.
Well, the military makes you feel that way.
exactly. And
Yeah.
thank you for coming on, Sarah. We appreciate it, and our love goes out to you and your family. You're always in our thoughts and prayers, along with Tyler. I'm sorry you have to go through the same thing that Heather and I are going through. It's not fair. It's not fair at all.
You're an amazing warrior,
Yep.
and we got your back. We're here to encourage you and push you forward. I've got my hand in the crease of your back, and I'm pushing you up that hill, girl. Let us know how we can support you. Okay. Never be afraid to reach out to us, even if you think, oh, they're probably not up, or probably this or that. But just ignore all of that.
We'll always get back to you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Love you guys.
Thank you, Locked In listeners. Thank you for joining us again. And thank you for your support. It means the world to us. Telling stories is part of fun. And, we're digging through the shit here, but we're also trying to heal. We're trying to heal moms and dads and sisters and brothers. And you can do that through community and talking stories. So if you know anybody who needs their story heard, please encourage them to reach out to us, because we want to tell your story of a negligent death in the military that didn't have to happen, and the subsequent corruption and lies that go along with those deaths, and no justice. No justice, no enlistment.
No peace.
That's what I say.
There you go. I like that.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. We love you guys.
Thank you.
If you have a U.S. military service member that was killed due to a non-combat incident and would like to tell your story, please contact us at lockedandloadeddiaries@gmail.com.